Hey everyone, Ning Cohen here. The next video is my Q&A with Clare Lydon on her book, Before You Say I Do. It's fantastic. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know.
Hi everybody, it's Ning Cohen here, and we are lucky enough to have Clare Lydon with us today. She is the author of Before You Say I Do. Thank you so much, Claire, for taking out some time to come and chat with us about this amazing book.
Lovely to be here. Lovely to be here. Great to be here. Always nice to chat with people about my books. So
absolutely. Well, I absolutely loved this book. I was hesitant to read it at first because I always have an issue with books that obviously there's going to be some kind of cheating factor in them.
Right.
I was really, really hesitant to read it, and then I opened it finally, and I went, whatever, because it was so fantastically written, and your humour and the banter, it's just great. And about 20% into the book, you have this one quote that I just adore, and it basically shows you that Abby wasn't happy anyway. So it wasn't that whole, there's so many, when they do have lesbians in media, it's always about the lesbian, whole toaster oven actual thing. Yeah. And I was like, oh, really? Oh, okay. And just the way you did that, I thought you did that absolutely marvelously, because it showed that it wasn't about that in any way. It was all about her actually finding happiness, not about anyone converting or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
that's great. Sorry, that's great. No, that's really great to hear. Because I know what you mean about the cheating. Cheating is a hot topic, right? In romance generally, lesbian romance, but in romance generally. And for me, it doesn't bother me because for me, I just think it's part of life, right? Cheating goes on, and so but I know that a lot of people don't like it, so I don't often put it in my books. I've put it in, like, I think maybe 2 or 3, but I knew there was going to be cheating in this book because there was no way to avoid it. But I hope I made it palatable, and I hope like you said, I hope I sort of spelled out the reasons and built the foundation for it. So, like, it wasn't so bad. I mean, and I gave Marcus a happy ending too. I thought that was important. But you know, I mean, like I said, it's at its heart, Before You Say I Do is Abby's story. Every romance is 2 people's story, but it's always got to be about one person in the end. And at its heart, this one is about Abby, and it's about her falling in love with a woman, but also about realizing that she should follow her heart and not what society expects of her. And so to build her character, she's very tightly wound at the beginning, and then the whole the whole book is like one big, slow, agonizing release of Abby.
Oh, that describes it perfectly.
Yeah. So Jordan's with her every step of the way, with all the angst and the pent up desire, but you know, it was great to write. I really loved it. It's one of those books where, I don't know, it's done really well sales wise, and the reaction has been brilliant. But it's one of those books that I stored up for quite a long time. But I had the idea about 18 months before I wrote it, and I stored it up, and I was just thinking about it, and yeah, maybe that comes through in the pages. I don't know.
It's brilliant. Like, it's fantastic. I remember when I first started it, I think it was 2 pages in, and I was literally laughing out loud. And I was like, okay, why was I worried? Because I've loved your work for quite a while. And I thought, well, if anyone's going to handle it well, Claire will. So that's all good. But you have actually got me into one of the next questions that I have. Because you have discussed before on your podcast, the Lesbians Who Write podcast, sorry, where you got the idea. But some people may not know that. So could you just go a little bit into where the idea actually came from?
Yeah, so if people don't know, the book is about Abby, who is a bride-to-be, and who her groom to-be hires her professional bridesmaid to take the pressure off her big day. And obviously she falls in love with that professional bridesmaid. Now, I didn't even know that professional bridesmaids were a thing. I mean, who does? And so many people have been really surprised, you know, reading this, but they think I made it up. I'm not that clever. I was listening to the radio one day, and weirdly, I was talking about this when I was on holiday recently. I get a lot of ideas when I listen to the radio. I listen to radio all the time. I love radio. In another life, I would have been a radio DJ. So I think that's why I love podcasting, because it gives me the chance to do that. But I was listening to the radio one day, and I heard an interview with a woman who was a professional bridesmaid, and I was just so surprised. I was like, so I turned it up and I listened to the whole interview, and then I went to her website and just looked at what she offered, and the idea just came. I was just like, my God, that is a lesbian romance waiting to happen, isn't it? So
Absolutely.
I just thought about it, and then I looked at my schedule, and I knew I couldn't write it, you know, that year. So I was like, well, I'm going to start that then. So I started it like November 2019, and launched it in March 2020. So yeah, it was, but it had been formulated in my head and all the what might happen and stuff for a long time. And I think it was really good actually that I did hold off writing it until then because of that. Because it like the end scene I really had in my head, like the big wedding scene. I was like, that's what's going to happen. And I did actually plot it out about 6-9 months before I started writing it. And I was really excited about writing that scene. But in the interim period, I went on a big. My niece got married in Jamaica, and she had a big. So we went to Jamaica on a resort, and she had a big hen do on a catamaran. Yeah, it's lovely. And she had a big hen do back in the days when we could travel, right?
Oh, I vaguely remember those.
Yeah. She had a big hen do on a catamaran, and that was actually sort of served into the story. Like I changed the hen do to a yacht because we were in Paris, in Nice, in France, and I thought that would be like when I looked into France, I was like, yeah, you know, they've got a bit of money, they'll hire a private yacht. But you know, all those things sort of fed into the book, so it was good that I waited. Sometimes it's good to wait.
Yeah, absolutely. I was blown away when you just described your time frame then, and I was like, wow, that did not take you very long to write, you know, from when you started writing it, when you've published it. But having it in your head and thinking about it for all that time definitely must have helped on that side of things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think it was just such a light bulb moment when I heard the interview. So I knew I had a good idea, and I knew I hadn't seen it before, so I knew it was unique from that perspective. So, but yeah, just fitting into my schedule.
Yeah, it's been an eye opener listening to the podcast, just how intense full-time writer schedules are. Yes, I never really thought about that side of it. It was all just, I can't wait, you know, to write and that kind of thing. But there's so much more involved in a schedule just to get a book out.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I say if you haven't listened to Lesbians Who Write podcast, come along and listen.
Yes.
If you're a reader, it's interesting, I think, to see behind sort of what goes on behind the scenes. And if you're a writer, you can just nod along and go, oh yeah, I recognise that. And if you are an aspiring writer, hopefully we'll sort of tell you some things that might help you along the way. We also aim to make you laugh, so hopefully that happens.
Oh, you've succeeded completely. It's very humorous. Anyone who hasn't gone and checked it out, absolutely recommend it. Go have a look. Go have a listen. Well, more so. And it's fantastic. Sorry, back on the book.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. So for me, my favourite character is actually Abby's mum. Randomly of all of it, because I've read the book a few times now, and I'm like, I just think she's fantastic. She's so straightforward and real, and I just wanted to know, is she actually based on anyone specific?
No. No, not based on my mum, and not based on anybody's mum in particular. No, I just knew. I don't know why. I had her as Scottish. I don't know, like quite a few of my Scottish friends have said, why is the whole family Scottish? And they're all eating square sausages, which is like a particular thing that Scottish people. It's just like a sausage, but it's in a square. Yeah, I don't know why they're Scottish, but no, I suppose she's. If I really think about it, maybe she's an amalgam of all my older sisters. I don't know. I've never really thought about it, but I'm one of 8 children. I'm the youngest.
Yeah, I was about to say, you're from quite a large family, aren't you?
Yeah. So I'm the youngest. So I've got a lot of older sisters who are quite a bit older than me, and would probably be about Gloria's age. So maybe they fed into it a little bit. I don't know. Not consciously, she's based on anyone really. I just knew that I wanted her to be sort of supportive to Abby, and then also a bit sort of, well, what are you doing, but also in a gentle way. But also I wanted her to be funny, because side characters as well can be, they can sort of play in and have a bit more humour about them, and also they can do work sort of things that your main characters can't do. So I think Gloria was that for Abby, and Jordan had Karen, which I was going to remember the names now.
Yeah. I was wondering, I was like, will she remember?
Yeah,
because you're working on your Christmas book at the moment, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
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 But
it's called Christmas in Mistletoe, for those who don't know, and it's coming out, I think, November the 24th. So.
Oh, soon. Excellent. That's fantastic. And you're a big fan of Christmas.
Love it.
Love it. That's awesome.
Yes. I absolutely love Christmas. This week I've just watched my first 2 Christmas movies. Never too early, I say.
Never. Especially this year. I mean, bring on the Christmas spirit. Yeah. And now I see that Hallmark is doing their first gay Christmas movie.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see.
Yeah, it'll be. I'm excited, but a little nervous too, because you just never know how people will handle anything really. Anything that's not in their ballpark, it's a little bit dubious. Yeah. But fingers crossed.
I mean, you got the first step's got to be there, I suppose. I did notice last year, because I think they do. Not that I keep a close eye on the Hallmark Channel, but I do. I think they do about 40 or 50 new movies every year, and I think the last 2 years, crops have had side characters that are gay cropping up.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it never used to happen. So I suppose a little bit like what I was saying with the side characters, you can do more with sort of side characters, and so for them to then make that next step and have a gay character or gay lead character in a Christmas movie, that's a great step.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that gives me a little more hope. It's exciting anyway. It's a step forward, so that's where we all need to begin. We've had some questions come through from the book club members. Yeah, one of them says, first, thank you for an awesome book. And she says, this story is about women doing what they have not chosen, but what is expected. Is this a trope you'd like to write?
Is it one that I like to write?
Yeah.
Oh, right. I thought you said would like to write. Right. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
First of all, thank you very much for the kind words on the book. I really do appreciate you having it for the book club as well. Yeah, I think that's sort of the nature of writing lesbian fiction, really, isn't it? Because just by simply being lesbian, gay, queer, whatever, you are going against societal norms. And for you to have then, the characters to then have a happy ever after is definitely going against societal norms, because, most books and movies and things, the kill your gay trope is still quite prevalent. So yeah, I think every single book that I write is always about women going against societal norms. And I love that. More of it, I say.
Yes, excellent. Sorry, that was from Pam, and I'm sorry if I say your name wrong, Pam. Pam Schrag, I believe. So, what is your favourite trope? Like, what would your favourite trope of all that you've written or what you want to write? What would your favourite trope be?
I think I really do like friends to lovers. I mean, I like to read enemies to lovers, and I've tried to write enemies to lovers, and I'm rubbish at it because they just keep, within the first 2 chapters, they're always like winking at each other and flirting and stuff. So the Christmas book I'm just writing, Christmas and Mistletoe, it's got a bit of enemies to lovers in it, but it doesn't last long. But it's probably my best effort yet, so I'm proud of that. But I suppose I do really like, I love second chance romances, really love second chance romances, and I love friends to lovers. So they're probably my 2 most loved tropes to read and to write. And obviously to read, I love enemies to lovers, and I bow down to all those people who can really do it well. I cannot. Was there another bit to your question that I've forgotten?
No, that's it. It was just your favourite trope. No, all good. Another question. Jordan seems such a powerful, charismatic person to be able to work with the mother-in-law, but she's unable to manage her own life. How do you write such strength, but in a jello?
Oh,
which I thought was just fabulous the way they asked it.
Yeah, in a jello. I like that a lot. I might steal that for a future book. I think that's, to me, that's kind of like a lot of. I mean, he's got that to some degree. I know so many people that I know. I've got friends who in sort of high places. I suppose that sounds rubbish. Like friends with jobs with lots of responsibilities. And they are like really on it at work all the time. And then when they come home, they can't make a decision because they make too many decisions at work, and then it's all used up, and then they're just at home. And I suppose I see it a lot in the world and around me, and I just think you can't be on all the time. I think it's just a natural human quality. I think that there'll always be, bits of it that you'll come across very strong, but in private you're just like, oh my god. And so I think Jordan just represents, human nature.
Absolutely, she is so very human, and I love that though. I love that your characters are beautiful and clever, and they've got these great jobs, but there's something imperfect about them, which makes them brilliant and so realistic. It's one of the great things about, well, pretty much every book I've read of yours. It's very realistic characters. They get the happy ending, so especially when things are going crap, it's like, it's so nice. They're just real, but they get happy as well. So that's fantastic.
Well, thank you. That's great. I think just going on that, it's one of the key things of my writing. I always want to have realistic characters. I never want to have. You've got to have 3D characters. You've got to make them have flaws. It's what makes people relate to them.
Absolutely, and people think it's a lot easier than what it actually is to actually expose a character's strengths and weaknesses all in the same, framework sort of thing. So it's very well done in your book, especially this book. It is really good to see these amazing characters just be completely broken down outside of their comfort zones.
Good.
And our last question, which is not about the book, but a member has asked, what did you love to read as a child that got you wanting to write?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I've got a rubbish memory, so it's a while ago. I loved reading as a kid. Like I was always at the library. My mum and dad used to take me to the library every 3 weeks, and I would get 8 books, and then I would always forget to take them back and get fined, and then I'd have to have less sweets, and I'd be sad. That was my childhood. I'm trying to think what I read. I can't remember what I was reading when I was really young, but I read loads. I think I read quite widely. And then when I got older, my dad used to buy me a book every week, which was really sweet of him.
Oh, wow.
And sort of when I was sort of in my sort of early teens. And then I do remember one holiday when we went to the old Yugoslavia, and I remember taking 8 Sweet Valley High books. I don't know if you know Sweet Valley High.
Yeah, I remember reading them.
And you know, there clearly was a sign that I was into romance then, but I didn't realise that I was reading, you know, sort of teenage romance then. So I suppose I did read very widely, and a bit of romance, a bit of just general kids fiction. I read a lot of YA when before YA was cool, actually, when YA was aimed at YA. I don't know, maybe then adults were reading YA as well. I don't know. There's one particular book called Changing Times by Tim Kennemore, which is, I think, is the one that I always remember from my childhood. And that was about I read it when I was about 13, and that was about a time travel sort of thing. Basically, a 15-year-old girl was with a guy, and she time traveled 20 years forward and realised if she stayed with him, she was going to get into an abusive relationship with him. So she split up with him.
Wow.
And I was just like, it was quite deep and dark for a YA.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a bit confronting. That's amazing.
It was basically she used to go around to his house. I really remember it. I've still got it on my bookshelf because it was one of those ones that I loved and reread a lot. The character went around to his house, and his house was so different to hers. It was very dark, and his parents had an abusive relationship. So like his mum was emotionally abused and cowering. And he was like, I'll never be like that. And then when she got in the time travel, she time traveled forward and realized that he had copied his family's.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And obviously that's stuck with you.
Yes.
And I can imagine why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, whoa, okay. And how old were you when you read this? Do you remember?
I'd say probably early teen, maybe like 13, 14.
Wow.
This is one of the books my dad bought for me, Dark.
Wow. Go Dad. That's awesome.
So, but I don't know if that inspired me to write romance. Probably not. Maybe I think more the Sweet Valley High books. I never really read. I didn't really read very much romance. Definitely not. I read a lot of women's fiction as I got older, and just general fiction. But then I didn't read my first lesbian fiction until I was away travelling, probably about 15 years ago. And I just read. I was in a hostel in New Zealand, and somebody had left it in one of the libraries. And I was like, wow, there are books with lesbians? What?
Another question is, did they kill them in the end?
Did they kill the lesbians in the hostel book? No, it was happy. And I thought,
yay!
Oh my God.
Wow, that's fantastic. Because it's such a trope that still happens, that, you know, the gay people die.
Yes. So if you come to one of my books, I guarantee nobody dies, and always a happy ending.
Yes, it is nice to know that when you pick up one of your books, it's like, yay, it'll be a happy, just yay feeling at the end. Because some books you're just not sure, and when you're not in the mood for that, you know, it's nice to know what you're going to get.
It is, and especially in this year, you know, like it's nice to have a bit of happy endings anyway. But especially in 2020, I think we all need happy endings, don't we?
Absolutely. Let's get that happy ending happening. Well, thank you so much for your time and for answering and being so lovely.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
And if anyone's watching who hasn't actually read Before You Say I Do, go get it. Like, honestly, I completely recommend. I've read several of Claire's books now, and they're all fantastic reads. So off you go. Go follow her on Instagram. And actually, where else can the listeners find you?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you very much for your kind words. Thank you for having me. It's been really lovely. They can find me on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook very much, but I kind of do post a bit, but I don't. If you want to interact with me, Twitter at Clare Lydon, Instagram at ClareFic, or go to my website, which is www.clarelydon.co.uk, where you can find out all about me and my books and podcasts. I do 2 podcasts, Lesbians Who Write and the Lesbian Book Club. So yeah, listen to me, look at me, read me, all those things. And then when you get bored of me, just walk away. Walk away.
And you're currently working, we already mentioned it, but you're currently working on the Christmas book? Or is that actually finished now?
Yes, it's coming back from the editor today.
Oh, wow.
And then I will, yeah. So I'm hoping to get it out November the 24th. And that's the next book. And then the one after that is Hot London Nights, which is the 7th book in the London Romance series, which is already written and gone and back from the editor. So I'm ahead of the game.
Wow, that's fantastic. So everyone look out for Claire's book. What was the title? Sorry.
Christmas in Mistletoe, out on the
Christmas in.
If you like ladies and Christmas and ladies falling in love, this is the one. How about you? When is your next book, or when is your book coming out?
I have. Tables. Yeah, I'm like, what? Hang on. I have my first novella actually through a publisher, an Australian publisher. It's actually coming out in April. I just got that confirmation. It's coming out in April. It
awesome.
does have a lesbian main character, but it is a horror.
Okay. Yeah. No,
So
I remember.
it is lesbian fiction. It's just not on the romance bent of things.
Yeah, that's good.
And I have a novella trilogy coming out, hopefully, later 2021, which I'm currently working on. So, and that's through a different publisher. So,
cool.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Good. Look forward to that. And well, I mean, romance is the biggest genre in the world, but it's not the only one in lesbian romance or in the world. So yeah, and I always get people asking me for different genres in lesbian fiction or queer fiction. So horror
Fantastic.
is. Look forward to it.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
All right, no worries. Thank you very much.
See you guys.